Coming up in this episode! Can a quick-witted and quarter-sized player crack this level of DuckTales? Or will he be left quivering and quaking in defeat? Will this player find the correct angle to whitewash this developer at his own game? Or will the young pretender snooker him right in the pocket? And can a good neighbour become good friends with a golden joystick? Or will this street party be shut down before the credits roll? Welcome to the Games Master Retrospective, where we take a nostalgic nosedive through episodic exploration into the series that showcase the best and worst of gaming's golden era. Dom, as ever, has to start us off with some mild smut to set the tone properly, with our first addition to the ongoing Dominic innuendo counter.
Thank you very much and welcome to Games Master, the show which has made the 6:30 slot its own and is responsible for more sprained wrists than the lovely Julia Roberts. Everything you've always wanted to know about video games, but were a wee bit too tight-fisted to buy a magazine about.
To start with, I'd like you to try your hand at DuckTales.
We spoke about DuckTales last episode, so as we did with Sonic the Hedgehog previously, let's focus on a particular aspect of the game. By far the most lasting legacy of DuckTales on the NES is the Moon theme from, the Moon level, composed by Hiroshige Tonomura. On the surface, it's a legendary chiptune track with a bouncy ethereal melody that captures the wonder of lunar exploration. However, a deep dive by YouTuber Charles Cornell found that the song is far more intricate than you might think. On top of that, the tune has become the backdrop to many memes over the years, and has inspired multiple producers over at ocremix.org to rework the melody into fresh new tracks. It's a celestial earworm that has transcended the game, and proof that even chiptune loops can achieve immortality. Woo!
You have 2.5 minutes to guide Scrooge McDuck to the Himalayas. You will need to rescue the helpless Bubba from his icy tomb, and then retrace your webbed steps to escape from the cavern with the help of Launchpad. 2.5 minutes to guide Scrooge McDuck to the Himalayas. And let's hope you fit the bill.
Here, as always with me, is Jazz Rignall. He never seems to do anything else apart from perch with me up here. Jazz, DuckTales, very good game, quite a tough challenge.
Yeah, it is. The game's not that difficult, but the challenge is, and unless he hasn't mapped it out, he's going to have trouble.
Our only regular challenger of this episode is Scott Andrew from Manchester. Festooned in Puma-branded gear, and apparently only able to communicate by repeating Dom's words back to him.
Welcome to Games Master, Scott.
Thanks.
Well, so have you been practicing very hard at the game?
Very hard.
And you're very confident about the challenge?
Very confident.
Well, I'm very pleased to see you are, because I think it's a very tough challenge, to tell you the truth. It gets quite tricky in some points.
Yeah.
Scott is a cool customer, ploughing through the level with ease. He's as unstoppable as an avalanche, and almost as single-minded. We also get some fun noises from Dominic.
Yeah, what you should do.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, Jack. He just seems to be narrowly missing all these icebergs. I don't know how he's managing to miss them.
Well, it's all right, he's picked up an invincibility pill, so he's safe there. You can go flying.
Now, who's
through.
this? I think he's actually found Bubba. He's found Bubba!
Scott stays frosty as he snowballs his way to the end of the level, while Jazza remains as enthusiastic as ever.
Yeah, he's doing really well, and he could make it.
Now we've just got to negotiate this huge big spider. It's going to be a problem. No, he's certainly past the spider. He's over the hair. He's got 45 seconds left to go. There's a big rope. I think he's going to go up. He's going up the rope. He's bending in. He's got 30 seconds left. He's got it. He's spider. He's spider. He's spider.
There you go.
Bye-bye, Nick Scrooge. You made pretty short work of that challenge there.
Yeah.
Were you nervous at all?
Yeah, my legs are like jelly.
Yes, Scott soundly thrashes the challenge and wins himself a golden joystick. And Dom, as inevitable as ever.
So while Scott gets to grips with his large possession, let's go and check out the reviews of all the latest new games. Our 3 games this week are linked by the word funk. First up on the Mega Drive, strut your surreal stuff with the console world's answer to Bill and Ted, the extremely laid-back Toe Jam and Earl.
It looks great, bit of humour, fantastic graphics, great sound, well, especially appealing to a 12-year-old kid.
Good fun for a while, I'd say. Slickly put together, but not a lot of game in there.
Next up, save the world with pure love in Top Banana.
The game itself, it's got great music and the graphics are absolutely superb, but that doesn't actually make the game. The playability isn't there.
Seen it all before, really.
Seen it all before? You've seen all this before? Did you take some particularly bad acid in the 70s? Top Banana was released in 1991 by publisher Hex on the Acorn Archimedes, before being ported to the Amiga and Atari ST in 1992. Players control KT as she progresses through whatever this is. The gameplay is heavily inspired by Rainbow Island, in which players progress upwards whilst defeating enemies and avoiding rising water. However, the visual style of this game is unique, in that some of the assets used in the game are sampled from TV and films, giving the overall aesthetic a very spliced together look. Stuart Ashens featured the game in his book Attack of the Flickering Skeletons, More Terrible Games You've Probably Never Heard Of, calling the game's graphics an utterly indecipherable, garbled mess. Honestly, it's hard to argue with that.
And finally, Bart the Brat arrives on the Game Boy as you eat shorts and have cows with Bart Simpson's Escape from Camp Deadly.
Nothing particularly outstanding or new, but good fun, and if you like The Simpsons, you won't be disappointed in the game.
Up next, we have a preview of the fantastic Chaos Engine from Renegade's own Graham Boxall.
The Chaos Engine is the latest Bitmap Brothers production. It takes place back in the Victorian era, and your job will be to take 6 characters into a Victorian house to destroy the Chaos Engine.
Okay, gonna stop you there, buddy. I'm not saying you're doing a bad job, but you're really not selling this well, so let me take this one. The Chaos Engine was developed by the Bitmap Brothers and released in 1993 for the Amiga, before being ported to the Atari ST, Amiga CD32, DOS, Mega Drive, and SNES. The game is a steampunk masterpiece set in a dystopian Victorian era, where a mad scientist discovers technology from the far future and creates the titular Chaos Engine, which immediately begins warping the landscape and wildlife around it. You know, normal stuff. Players have 6 characters to choose from, and can play co-op with a friend or partner up with an AI-controlled companion as they traverse across eerie, industrial landscapes in a top-down run-and-gun style shooter. Inspired by William Gibson and Bruce Sterling's novel, The Difference Engine, its grim, gear-driven aesthetic powered by gritty pixel art and a haunting soundtrack defined 1990s steampunk before the genre went mainstream. Critics hailed its tactical gameplay, atmospheric storytelling, and labyrinthine levels, earning it a much-deserved cult status. Re-released on modern platforms, its legacy endures as a blueprint for co-op shooters, and a testament to the Bitmap Brothers' knack for blending style with substance. A dark, dystopian gem that still hums with retro menace.
Nice to see you again. I do hope you enjoyed that last little jaunt. What an extremely able young man he was. Time for some sport now, I think. Let's retire to the billiard room for some green baize action on Jimmy White's Whirlwind Snooker.
Jimmy White's Whirlwind Snooker was released by Virgin Games in 1991 for the Amiga, Atari ST, and DOS, before being ported to the Mega Drive in 1994. The groundbreaking snooker sim was praised for its realistic physics and smooth controls, as well as its few moments of cheeky humour. Programmed over several years in a solo effort by Archer McLean, it was touted as being so realistic that players could refine their real-life snooker skills with it. Virgin Games launched a nationwide tournament to promote the title, with the eventual winner going up against Archer himself in this very episode of Games Master. Having racked up such a reputation, it's not hard to see why this was a big break for snooker sims, as it's hard to follow up on a trick shot like this.
You have 90 seconds each on this most realistic of snooker simulations to amass the highest possible score. Only the colours will be on the table. They'll start over the pockets, but will return to their spots once they've been potted. May the best man win.
Our next Golden Joystick challenge is an odd one, as we have games developer Archer McLean taking on Christian Price, winner of the aforementioned Virgin Games Snooker Tournament, and it's all being presided over by Jimmy White himself. Let's hope our contestants are queued up and on the ball. Jimmy the Whirlwind White is a professional snooker player with almost as many championships to his name as there are balls on the felt. He was awarded an MBE in 1999 for his services to the sport of snooker, and holds the distinction of being the first left-handed player to achieve a maximum break in a professional competition. Earning his Whirlwind nickname due to his fluid and swift style of play, Jimmy has multiple appearances in film and TV, such as Legend of the Dragon and Big Break. Revered for his charisma and daring shots, Jimmy is still playing to this day, proving that he's more than just a nickname, he's a force of nature.
Okay, so what's any general tips you could give Christian?
Well, mainly he just wants to get himself in a good position and just hopefully, if he keeps his position, and carry on potting as many balls as he can and build up his break.
Okay, Christian, are you ready? Then chalk your cue and get ready to pot those balls.
Christian has the first break, looking incredibly focused as he lines up shot after shot. In his haste, he seemingly fails to pot an important blue ball. However...
Halfway through the time there, 45 seconds.
May have fluked it in this pocket.
Oh, the pink's coming back.
Has it gone in?
And he's
Yeah.
sunk it. Yes.
Different, but they all count.
Nice little trick shot there.
Fluke or not, he does end up with a very respectable score of 31. When Archer takes the pew though, things start to go a bit wonky. In the lead up to the match, Archer had been practicing a lot, fearing he'd get thrashed at the very game that he created. It turns out the producers asked Archer to throw the match, but make it look as close as possible. Danielle Woodyat, who had been on the press tour for Whirlwind Snooker, said on several occasions that Archer was incredibly competitive, often not letting journalists even play the game they were supposed to be reviewing.
Okay, here he goes.
Yeah,
and he sunk that one. 18
He screwed
points.
it back. Tremendous shot.
Screwed it back, leave himself a nice angle for it again.
That's right. I think he's going to stay on this pink and score points from this shot. Because he's already got it lined up. So it's very clever what he's
Another
done
nice
there.
one again there. Screwed it back a little bit.
However, with only a few points between him and Christian, he gets carried away and pots the pink, accidentally winning the game overall.
Oh, and he's done it, and Archer's won.
Danielle has gone on record to say that she gave him a proper earful for that, and Archer admitted later that he didn't live it down for quite a while afterwards. However, the story does have a happy ending, as he presented the award to Christian backstage with an apology after the show.
For the last of this week's little escapades, we visit our colonial friends in the Antipodes for an episode of Neighbours.
Neighbours! The game was released by Impulse in 1991 for the Amiga, Atari ST, and Commodore 64. In an incredibly odd choice for a licensed game based on a daytime TV soap opera, players attempt to race around Ramsey Street in a variety of different vehicles while avoiding characters such as Mrs. Mangle and Bounce the Dog. Though poor controls often leave racers feeling like a proper drongo as they crash into everything from kangaroos to a jogging Harold Bishop. The game was received very poorly upon release, Amiga Format giving it 24% and calling it the saddest licensed game of all time. I guess these neighbours didn't become good friends, eh?
The challenge is to take on and beat all comers in a scooter race around a place called Ramsey Street, avoiding potholes, roving kangaroos, an elderly lady known as Mrs. Mangle, and a plump jogger by the name of Harold. So keep your wits about you and try not to succumb to the banality of the plot.
And joining me in Lassiter's pulpit is Games Master's very own game-playing expert, Dave Perry. Dave, welcome.
Hi, Dominic.
For our second celebrity challenge, we have Ashley Pasquet from Neighbours, who doesn't inspire a huge amount of confidence in his gaming abilities.
What's your game-playing skills like?
Not very good. Well, I'm not bad. I have like a video game thing at home, you know, so I might be okay.
You enjoy a waggle of your joystick now and then?
Absolutely. I'll waggle whenever I can.
Ashley is mostly known for his role in Neighbours, so we're going to be talking about that instead of him directly. Sorry, Ashley. Neighbours is Australia's iconic soap opera following suburban cul-de-sac drama. A global hit, the series launched multiple stars into the mainstream, including Guy Pearce and Margot Robbie, as well as pop stars Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan. Known for its sunny escapism and occasionally fiery Aussie attitudes, it became a pop culture phenomenon, especially in the UK. Starting in 1985, it initially ran until its cancellation in 2022, though fan outcry brought it back to streaming services in 2023. Proof that even Ramsey Street's quiet moments could outlast most TV marriages.
Ashley, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Then off you go.
Ashley starts as he means to go on. Badly! It's also fun listening to Dave Perry on commentary, as he's obviously a fan of the show.
There's Todd Landers with his car, bouncing across the road.
And right into a rock there.
Here comes Mrs. Mangle. Out of the way, Ashley.
Oh, no, Ashley's trying to run into Mrs. Mangle there. And he's safely past Paul Robinson's car. Mrs. Mangle swiftly got
There's
down.
the kangaroo.
Tried to do unmentionable things with a kangaroo there. Came off the worst, and he's in there for more.
He's a bit mean, this kangaroo.
As the game continues, it's clear that either the controls are incredibly poor or Ashley's gaming skills leave much to be desired. And let's face it, it's probably 6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
As you can see, there's a meter along the bottom of the screen there, the Neighbours logo. The white part is his popularity, and as you can see, his popularity is going down every time he falls off.
And what happens when his popularity reaches 0?
He gets dumped out of the series and the game over.
Oh, Helen Daniels with the painting of Mrs. Mangle there.
To the surprise of no one, including Ashley himself most likely, the challenge is a failure, and he's sent packing back to the land down under.
Hello, Games Master.
Welcome to my kingdom. I'm very glad to see you.
In Spider-Man, I can always reach the forklift boss, but he keeps ramming me. What am I doing wrong?
Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin, or just Spider-Man, according to the box art, was released in 1991 for the Mega Drive, Master System, Game Gear, and Sega CD. Developed by Technopop, the game is a side-scrolling platformer in which players swing through New York City to stop Kingpin's nuclear bomb, battling through Marvel mainstay menaces like Doc Ock, Sandman, and Venom. Spidey is also able to take pictures of his enemies to sell to the Daily Bugle in order to buy more web fluid. The game was hugely successful, single-handedly convincing Marvel Comics to continue its licensing agreement with Sega. That must have gotten the old Spidey senses tingling.
Foolish boy. You really should have realized by now that you can't stop this particular rogue if he's facing you. So you need to leap behind him and let him have it with your web. About 10 times in total. That'll do it.
Oh, great. Thanks. Bye.
Next, please.
Hello, Games Master.
Hello, and nice to see you. Now, what can I do for you?
On level 3 of Turtles, I cannot jump over the gap without dying. How do I do it?
Look, I'm not saying that the developers behind this game at Konami hated kids, but I'm pretty sure they hated kids. I mean, look at this. Look at it! Who would design a level layout like this? It's sadistic! No one would have looked at this in 1989 and thought, clearly I just need to walk over it. And don't get me started on the damn level. I literally had nightmares about this section as a kid. Nightmares! And it turns out that the reason it's so difficult is because the hitboxes are The YouTube channel, Displaced Gamers, has done a video on this, and to say I'm f***ing pissed is an understatement. I am mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore!
You should have experimented a little, young fellow. The answer really is most simple. Walk straight over the gap and don't jump it at all. Things are not always what they seem.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Right, on to the next, please.
Hello, Games Master. My son gave me Shadow of the Beast 2 for Christmas, and I'm finding it very difficult to get anywhere. Can you give me any tips or suggestions?
Shadow of the Beast 2 was released in 1990 by Psygnosis on the Amiga, Atari ST, Fujitsu FM Towns, Mega Drive, and Sega CD. Retaining the original's punishing difficulty and haunting synth soundtrack, the game doubled down on its predecessor's gothic aesthetic, adding more game mechanics and branching paths to its nightmarish world. It pushed graphical limits with surreal parallax-heavy landscapes. Though criticised for being too similar to its predecessor, the game's brooding atmosphere and art direction were nonetheless hailed as groundbreaking at the time. It's now emblematic of 90s gaming, where ambition and frustration collided in equal measure.
If my memory serves me correctly, there are no shortcuts. But you can make life a lot easier by beefing your warriors up. Now listen. At the start of the game, walk to the right of the screen towards the pygmy. Once he starts pestering you, call up the question mode and type in 10 pints. Your warrior will then be invincible, and all you have to do is to find your way around.
Thanks very much.
Well, you'll find it works. And that little revelation brings the session to an end. I do hope the advice is going to be of some use.
Well, that draws proceedings to a close, but never mind. I've got my smoking jacket to keep out the chills, and a lovely bit of Assam in my mug. So keep your fingers on your fire button, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
And there goes the neighbourhood! The pink has been sunk and the tails have been ducked for our 5th episode. If you've enjoyed this video and had fun listening to a middle-aged man lose his mind over a 35-year-old game, please leave a like and a comment below. And if you want to stay up to date on our continuing deep dive into this most rambunctious of retrospectives, gently caress that subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, remember, don't be a dick.